Welcome to Understanding the Honor Code. This tutorial will help you understand the importance of integrity in your academic work. The Carolinian Creed, the university's value statement, calls upon each member of the UofSC community to practice personal and academic integrity. It is important that all members of the community live by this code to create an environment of integrity and civility. In making a commitment to living the creed, each community member helps to ensure that your degree has value and you enter the community beyond UofSC with a sense of pride in our university's reputation and the skills needed to reach your personal and professional goals. The Honor Code process is educational in nature. If a violation occurs, it is addressed by helping the student to learn from their mistakes and assisting them in upholding university standards moving forward. Now we will share the university's expectations in upholding the Honor Code. There are 4 policies at the institution: plagiarism, cheating, falsification, and complicity. Before reviewing the details of each policy, think about how the Honor Code, as a set of policies, coincides with the first tenet of the Carolinian Creed: I will practice personal and academic integrity. If you plan to take the tutorial quiz, whether as an assignment for your class or a sanction from the Office of Academic Integrity, you will need to watch the entire video. We hope to help you understand that there are different forms of plagiarism and that they can be avoided. The Honor Code contains the definition of plagiarism, which reads, use of work or ideas without proper acknowledgement of source. Plagiarism includes more than stealing or directly copying someone else's work. In fact, there is a spectrum of behaviors that are violations of the plagiarism policy. Within the plagiarism policy, you are expected to practice proper citations and paraphrasing. It is important that if you lack confidence in understanding these concepts, that you reach out for help. It is a part of your academic responsibility to become knowledgeable on various citation styles. You can help yourself learn more by seeking help from your instructor, utilizing the Writing Center or the Student Success Center, or by looking to online resources like the University Library Guides or the Purdue Online Writing Lab. Let's talk further about 2 sections of the plagiarism policy: plagiarism improper citation and plagiarism improper paraphrasing. Not citing your work properly is a violation of policy. For example, using a direct quote from a source and not including quotation marks or putting it in the reference section of your paper. It's important to understand that citations are expected both in text and in a works cited section. Additionally, improper paraphrasing would be considered a violation. If you paraphrase someone else's work, you are still expected to cite the source both in text and in the works cited page to attribute the idea to its original source. It's also important to take time to paraphrase correctly by putting the idea into your own words. If you only change the words from your source slightly, or your writing is too similar, that could be considered a violation even if you do include a citation. Consider writing a report for an intro geography class. When explaining scientific concepts, it's important to paraphrase this information properly. The purpose of paraphrasing is to restate larger ideas in your own words and demonstrate your understanding of the topic. See this example from the Purdue OWL website. This would be considered an example of improper paraphrasing. If you compare the passages side by side, you can see only slight differences in the structure of the passage. Additionally, some words were replaced with synonyms, but very few changes were made. Remember that the paraphrased work should convey overall ideas. This, however, would be considered a good example of paraphrasing. As you can see, the paraphrased passage summarizes Cousteau's opinions and fears related to climate change in the Antarctic. More exercises and examples related to proper paraphrasing can be found on the Purdue OWL website. Many students who violate the plagiarism policy attribute their actions to poor time management and carelessness when attempting to cite sources. We understand that students come to college with varying levels of experience or expectations for citing sources. There are several tools that can help you achieve success in your academic writing. For example, if you're writing an extensive research paper, you can use a program like EndNote to help manage your notes from your sources and also manage your citations. Other strategies might include starting a paper by creating your works cited page and color-coding your sources. For any written assignments, setting up an appointment at the Writing Center can be done virtually through their website. If you would like help with citations and paraphrasing, bring your resources with you so that the person editing your paper can check to ensure you've paraphrased and cited properly. Utilizing your professor's office hours or even sending them an email can be very helpful in making sure you are meeting their expectations for an assignment. It's important that you give your professor advance notice and sufficient time for them to review your assignment. Generally, we recommend giving your professor at least 1 week to review and suggest asking specific questions to get better feedback. The Student Success Center also provides success consultations where you can learn more about time management or discuss other positive study habits. Finally, with the plagiarism policy, it's important to understand that intent is not written into the policy. This means that in situations where a student inadvertently plagiarizes, they can still be held accountable for violating university policy. While intent may not be taken into consideration when determining responsibility, it is evaluated when determining what non-academic sanctions are utilized to help educate students who have violated policy. Think about it this way. If you are driving down a road in which you don't know the speed limit and you get pulled over for speeding, you are still accountable for your actions. You may not have intentionally broken the law due to lack of knowledge, but you may still receive a ticket to ensure that your actions are corrected in the future. The next policy is the cheating policy, which reads, improper collaboration or unauthorized assistance in connection with any academic work. At UofSC, about half of all honor code violations fall under this particular policy. This can occur because what constitutes as cheating behavior can vary based on the rules outlined by each instructor. For example, in one class you may be taking an online test that is closed book, closed notes, closed internet, in which case use of any outside resource would be a violation of the honor code. In another class, though, it may be open book, open note, closed internet, which means only the use of internet resources would be considered a violation. Have you ever done any of the following? Used resources when the assignment was intended to be done independently? Worked with others on an independent assignment? Used resources that your instructor does not allow, or used resources without asking your instructor if they were allowed? Have you Googled an exam or homework question? Have you posted or shared an exam or homework question online? Or have you Venmo'd a friend for answers to a test question? If you said yes, you may have violated the cheating policy. One thing we haven't mentioned yet, but continues to be a growing trend, is the increased use of social study sites or other apps, including Course Hero, Chegg, Quizlet, GroupMe, and Venmo. So are these websites bad? Not necessarily. They can be useful tools to supplement your learning. One thing to ask yourself as you're utilizing these tools is whether the way you're using them functions to supplement your learning or to do the work for you. We also suggest considering the time and manner you are using these sites. If they are being used to complete graded work, that's probably not appropriate. If you are using them to study practice problems, that may be better. Using apps like GroupMe in an academic context is not inherently bad. It's likely that you have been a member of multiple class-related GroupMes, which can be very helpful. Generally, though, it is difficult to collaborate without directly sharing your work if you're using an app like GroupMe. If you notice people sharing answers directly, screenshotting responses to graded questions, or engaging in other similar behavior, that would not be considered appropriate collaboration. Be sure to utilize your campus resources in addition to seeking clarification and making the decision to not cheat. Resources like the Student Success Center for tutoring, SI sessions, or time management workshops, writing center appointments, or utilizing your professor office hours are all great tools to help you avoid violating the cheating policy. In addition to resources, there are also positive test-taking habits you can use to avoid violating the policy, such as sitting away from the peers you may have studied with to lower any temptation to view their work, making sure to leave your study materials at home or at the front of the room where you are taking your exam. For online exams, be in a space that is free of distractions and other people. Put your phone away and place on Do Not Disturb, letting friends and family know in advance that you will not be available during your exam time. Every time you complete an assignment or exam, you are making a deliberate choice about whether or not to cheat. Continuing to develop good study habits, test-taking strategies, and communicating with your professors will make completing your work in an honest manner second nature. We will now go over the final two policies, falsification and complicity. Falsification reads, misrepresenting or misleading others with respect to academic work. Think to yourself about recent Ponzi schemes, false advertising claims, or other public scandals that have affected a lot of people. It's not uncommon for the news to cover large-scale schemes, but this happens on a smaller scale too. Have you ever lied to a friend or your family about something you did in order to avoid trouble or judgment? This would be an example of falsification. Many of the behaviors that violate this policy are connected to lying and dishonesty. These behaviors are contradictory to our university and students' individual values. So why does it happen? What makes someone choose to lie? We often see that students violate this policy when they find themselves in what seems like an untenable position and they make a justification for their action. Falsification in the classroom can look like many things, such as signing in for a class and leaving early without notifying the professor, having a friend sign into class for you, creating false documentation in connection to your work, or interfering with an instructor's ability to accurately evaluate your academic work. Anything that misrepresents facts or misleads others in connection to academic work may be a violation of the falsification policy. Remember to ground yourself in your values when making a decision. If stressed, seek help from a friend, family member, or individuals in the Student Health Services Department. The important thing to remember is that while there may be consequences for your actions, like a negative grade, those consequences will far outweigh the cost of an honor code violation and potentially causing distrust between you and your faculty member. The last policy we will discuss is the complicity policy, which reads assisting or attempting to assist another in any violation of the honor code. Complicity can look like a lot of things, like seeing answers to a test posted in a GroupMe and not reporting it to the professor or the Office of Academic Integrity. It could look like sending your old lab report to a student currently enrolled in that class, or communicating with another student during an exam without your professor's permission. This even includes at-home exams and projects. Or generally sharing any academic work with a peer without the permission of the instructor could potentially violate the complicity policy. When faced with a questionable situation, think to yourself, is what I am seeing undermining honesty, trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, or fairness? Is what I am seeing a violation of standards, rules, codes, or laws? If others saw what I am seeing, would it or my inaction be approved or condemned? These questions can help you navigate potentially gray situations in a way that is consistent with yours and the university's values. It's important to remember that both your actions and your inactions can result in a complicity violation. Think back to those questions from the previous slide and the types of scenarios where your lack of action could be unethical. In our honor code, the duty is to report. If you are in a group text where exam answers are shared, for example, removing yourself from the group is not sufficient. If you see something, you should share it with either your professor or the Office of Academic Integrity. While this might feel uncomfortable, think how it might look to an employer trying to recruit you if a large-scale cheating issue were to occur in one of our colleges. That employer might turn to another institution to recruit since cheating issues devalue your degree. While many of you will not engage in academic dishonesty, it can still be helpful to understand the honor code process. This process is designed to have a neutral fact finder from Student Conduct and Academic Integrity evaluate information to determine, based on a preponderance of the evidence standard, if an honor code violation occurred. The goal of the honor code process is to help educate students about community standards. If you do find yourself engaged in the honor code process, please share honestly in your meeting. Mistakes happen. The best way to address our mistakes is by taking ownership of our actions. If you are found responsible, sanctions for a typical first-time violation could be a temporary period of probation, in addition to an educational or reflective assignment or workshop. Additionally, your professor can issue an academic sanction or grade penalty at their discretion. Remember the resources we've discussed throughout this tutorial. UofSC is a resource-rich campus, so make the most of the services provided. Learning when and how to seek help can be hard. It takes a lot of brain power to know when to ask for help, and at times asking for help can seem overwhelming. Some students fear that asking for help may make them seem incompetent or will be seen as them making excuses. In reality, asking for help is admirable, and without asking for help, faculty can't work with you to provide you additional support. We hope to normalize asking for help at UofSC when extenuating circumstances are impacting your larger educational goals. Seek help from your instructor or utilize the resources from the Student Health Services like counseling or stress management consultations. If you're not sure who can help you, the undergraduate ombudsperson is a university staff member whose job is to help students navigate different systems at UofSC. The bottom line is that your admission to UofSC indicates you have the potential to succeed. It is faculty and staff members' job to assist you in achieving your goals. Develop relationships with those individuals and seek assistance when necessary. A student who was found responsible for a violation of the honor code was asked during our process how their actions aligned with our Carolinian Creed. He shared that while his action was unintentional, he failed at practicing academic integrity. He stated that practice is an active verb. It takes conscious and consistent effort to practice integrity. I hope this tutorial has helped you learn some of the academic expectations while at UofSC. Additionally, I hope you learn from your peers' mistake and engage in deliberate practice of academic integrity while at UofSC.